Try and put it this way.
Good morning, Azim. So, you're authoring a new book called What You Seek is Seeking You. Why another book?
Well, life is evolving. We are all evolving, and we learn and unlearn as we go through life. And therefore, most of us have read things, have heard things, but when it comes to the question of are we doing it, there's a question mark. We're doing some, we're not doing others. So there's always room to learn more about something that you've heard or read about, but are not being able to apply it in your life. So the idea is that even by writing this book, personally, I realized that even I'm struggling with some of the concepts that I'm talking about, or we're talking about, Brian and myself, in terms of applying it in our lives. So I think it's always valuable, and we feel that we have chosen to go with a fable, which is a story whereby we extract messages which appeals to many people, because since time immemorial, stories have an impact for all human beings.
And what is the book about?
Well, it's about a book about a corporate CEO who accidentally meets a Sufi on a travel trip, and they somehow sit together on the plane beside each other and start talking about things. Initially, they have nothing in common because the corporate CEO is very much, hardcore business person who is focused on his laptop and iPad, whereas the Sufi is meditating and looking at the clouds. But as time goes by and as they start chatting and talking to each other, they actually find out that they can both learn from each other.
And the title I find is very neat. What made you go after the title, What You Seek is Seeking You?
I think it's a play of words, but the idea is that the universe is there to help all of us achieve our goals. And when you seek something with great aspiration, great desire, then you attract things in your life that are part of your dominant thoughts. So the issue is that when we're not clear about what we want, or we keep changing our mind what we want, we find that we don't attract things because we give mixed signals to the universe. And so the universe is telling us, make up your mind before we can help you.
And what impact do you hope this will have on readers?
Well, for me, the acid test it's already had a huge impact on me writing the book, even though I've been speaking about these things for 20 years and make a living out of this kind of work. So I feel that it has a lot of power to help other people in reflecting about what they're doing and being objective and getting deeper into things which make them realize that I know, but as Sufis would say, there's a difference between knowledge and knowing. Knowledge is something you read and you hear and you pretend you know it, but knowing comes from experience. So until and unless you experience something, you don't know it.
So you'd like readers to be able to read about it and then apply it to their life in order to experience it?
Absolutely. If the question is, yes, we can give you research about proof of what's happened to other people, but until and unless it happens to you and you get what we call a certainty, the word the Sufis would use is yaqeen, that you get a certainty, then you know that this is true. And no amount of literature and research can substitute that.
Okay. Now you mentioned it's helped you personally. Can you describe how?
Well, one of the chapters in the book is about detachment. So when I was writing this book, I asked myself, am I detached? The answer is no, I'm not totally detached to my family, to things that are part of my life. And so I realized that, I used to say a prayer about a goal I had, and after writing this book, I stopped saying that prayer because I realized that it's something that I'm attached to some outcome in the future. And since I've done that, I feel complete. I feel I've arrived, rather than trying to go somewhere and come from a place of lack of. So it's one of the examples I can give you about how it's helped me. We have another chapter which talks about deep awareness, heightened awareness. And in that process of writing the book, I catch myself getting upset about things, when people are inefficient, or sometimes in the traffic, or this, that, the other, and I realized that I need to learn and be objective about what I teach. And I remember Rumi's quote, and I'm paraphrasing right now, is, if you're bothered by every rub, how will you get polished? Diamond only gets polished by going through all the stages. So you need to be able to withstand those small things that happen in your life and not get bothered by them. Otherwise, you waste a lot of energy reacting to those kind of incidences.
I find it really neat how this book, as you mentioned, brings together the philosophies of the East and the West.
Well, I think the idea of the East and the West is, with the global village now, we're becoming one society, and it's completely intermingled. If you go to the East, they want to be Western people, and when you go to the West, they try to become Eastern. So it's one, but it's like life. Even the book that we're writing, it's not for everybody, and different people will take different messages from the book, and therefore we all learn from each other. I learn from my son. Tawfiq is 19, my daughter is 25. I learn from her. So we learn from other people around us, young, old, educated, not educated. Every person you meet in your life, I read this powerful quote, is in some way your superior, and in that you can learn of him or her. So we're always learning from other people. So yes, in the East, in the past, it was very much spiritually driven, and in the West, it was very scientifically driven, and therefore there was learning from each other, so it does bring the best of the East and the West.
So the first chapter, you talk about coincidences. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, what we are trying to illustrate is that when you have a strong desire and you aspire, you attract the help of the universe by way of coincidences. Albert Einstein once said that coincidences are one of the ways where God remains anonymous.
That's a very neat concept. Now, you would probably get people in business say to you, why not just work harder or smarter to achieve your aspirations? Why wait around for coincidences?
Well, the message is not to wait around for coincidences. The message is do work hard and do work smart and do have goals and be focused. You're not going to be exempt from all these great qualities that are required in any business to be successful. What we are saying is that the coincidences become an unseen help to help you achieve your goals. And it's like in a soccer match or a football match. We call it football in England and soccer in Canada. But in a soccer match, when you have a team with 10 players and the other team is 11 players, the team with 11 players has a better chance of winning because they have one extra help. So the coincidences are an extra help for you to achieve your goals, and they don't hurt.
So how can someone bring more coincidence into their life?
So firstly, the clarity of goals and consistent goals, not goals changing every second day or every second week or even every second month. And so the more consistent you are, the more you invite coincidence in your life, because you're giving very clear messages to the universe. Secondly, the more you are aware of those coincidences, the more you invite them, the more you appreciate and be grateful for them coming to your life and helping you with your goals now or in the future, also accelerates the invitation of more coming to you in your life.
And how does this make a CEO or senior executive's life much easier?
Well, in business and in life, there is so many things to do. We're always looking for a break somewhere, for luck somewhere. And when you get that, it gives you the extra nudge, the extra push, that you know that there's something, a force beyond you. It's also on your side. It's your partner helping you achieve your aspirations.
And how can you prove this unseen help?
It's a great question. There is research around it, and there are many examples of people who have witnessed that in their lives. But our main point is, again, going back to the knowledge versus knowing. Try it. Record your coincidences on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, and then find out how they all connect to help you. And once you experience it, you have that certainty, you have that confidence that it does work, right?
Now, how does clarity and repetition of goals invite more coincidences into someone's life?
I think we touched upon the clarity part a bit earlier. The more clear you are, the more focused, the more the invitation to respond and the response from the universe you get. But the repetition part is important in terms of, you see, we we forget things because we get busy in our lives and we want to practice something. For example, you don't want to be disturbed by small things in your life, but after one day or a few hours or a few days, you go back in the same rhythm and do the same things again, because you need to remind yourself of your behavior on an ongoing basis to be able to have the consistency of that behavior. Similarly, with goals, if you don't remind yourself of your goals, it's easy to get distracted, it's easy to get sidetracked, it's easy to get into activity trap and forget what your real purpose is. So the more you remind yourself of your goals, morning, afternoon, evening, every hour, the more it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because you're walking it, you're talking it, you're breathing it, you're sleeping it, and you're dying it.
So the more clear you are about something, the easier it is for the universe to help you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, so why does someone need to be authentic in order to be successful?
So if in a business, if you are not authentic, everything you do stems from a lie, in terms of if you are speaking about something in your business to your employees, to your customers, to other stakeholders, but what you're speaking about is not authentic, it's not true, then once people find out about that, they lose trust in what you're doing. And it also reflects on your demeanor. When you are coming from a place of authenticity, there's a lot of power around what you're speaking about because you believe in it. There's a twinkle in your eye, there is something magnetic around your aura that says that it's believable, it's plausible, it makes sense, and there is that echo in your voice that conveys conviction of some sort.
A lot of people have the fear of being authentic because maybe they won't be liked or accepted in business, at work, in personal life. What do you say for that?
Well, the issue is that if somebody's going to like you because you are living a lie, how powerful is that like? And sooner or later, the truth will reveal itself, and the like will be so short-lived. So, and you'll attract people in your life, who are not resonating with who you are truly within. So if you want your success to be sustainable, if you want your success to have a strong foundation, if you want a success to have a purpose and meaning around what you do, then there is no other way out but to be authentic. My co-author in my other book, Life Balance is a Choice, Dr. Nido Qubein, would say, charisma is good, but charisma without authenticity is dangerous. So the real power is not charisma, the real power is authenticity.
So how does someone become authentic?
Well, it starts from knowing yourself. If you don't know who you are, if you don't know what you want, if you don't know what you stand for what, it also has confusion in your own mind. What is authentic for you? So it starts within yourself. What do you want? What does your body want? What does your mind want? What does your spirit, your heart wants? And if your heart is going one way, if your mind is going somewhere else, if your body is going somewhere else, there's already a disconnect within yourself. And it multiplies itself around your team, with your customers, and with your family. And it has much wider implications in your life. And that causes friction, unhappiness, lack of fulfillment, and lack of balance.
How does one balance responsibilities and yet be authentic enough to follow their passion?
So we all have responsibilities, we all have targets to meet. A CEO would have numbers to meet, answerable to the board, the shareholders. We all have demands in our life to meet responsibilities of our family, to pay our bills, to send kids to nice schools, and therefore we cannot shirk those. So the idea is that how do you marry your responsibility with your passion? So for example, if you're doing a job that you're not really excited about and you have to do that job because you have to pay your way out and it pays your bills, then you ask yourself, is there something in my work that I do that is exciting for me? And you'll find out that from 100% work that you do, maybe there's 20%, 30%, 50%, 70% of work that you really actually enjoy doing, but the other 30% or whatever the number is that you don't enjoy. So being aware of where those, what you really like doing and what you don't like doing is a starting point whereby you can do more of what you like doing and maybe delegate certain things that you don't like doing, so that so that you're able to feed your passion to an extent, and also be able to meet your responsibilities in life.
For those who don't know what their innate gift is, can you talk about a little bit about how they can tap into that or find it?
So the Sufi philosophy is that we all are born with a gift, what we call a birthday gift. Hafiz, the Sufi poet, says we all have a birthday gift, but unfortunately most of us never open the birthday gift because we don't know what it is. So some of the ways you can open your birthday gift is, one of them is to meditate in the morning, where you go inside and you go inside and you go inside, connecting with your spirit within, which reveals to you your purpose, your mission. And usually whatever your purpose in life is, you're endowed with a gift to meet that purpose. So that's one way. The other way is to imagine that you won a lottery of $40 million. What would you do with the money? What kind of work would you do? That will tell you that you're not just doing something for money, but you're doing something because you really want to do it. And that's part of your calling, part of your gift, part of your passion, part of your authenticity to an extent. Also, finding out what comes naturally to you, and finding out from yourself and from people who are close to you, what do you do so well without having to put too much effort. And that is something who you are. It's natural for you, it's easy for you, whereas certain things you try to do are very hard. I always give the example of Lionel Messi, who plays for Barcelona. He's a great striker, he's worth about 120 million pounds. And he's very short as well. He plays for Argentina. Of course, he played in the World Cup as a captain of Argentina. But if you put him in defense, or if you put him in goalkeeping, you waste a great striker. So Messi is not a defender. Messi is not a goalkeeper. Messi is a striker. That's what he does best. That's what comes naturally for him.
What is the consequence of not being authentic?
It means that you live a lie. So you carry the lie everywhere you go. When you're with your family, at work, when you're within your community or in your prayers, you're carrying a lie with yourself, which causes some kind of friction in your life, and that makes you feel that something is missing in your life, some spark is missing in your life because you're not doing things that you are cut out to do. And people ask me this question: what if I have certain commitments right now that I need to focus on, and I have no time to feed my passion, I have no time to delve into this, that, the other. So yeah, sometimes there is this position where short term and long term. However, even when you have those things in the short term, you need to carve out some time, some reflection to find out how do you make a move from where you are to where you want to be. I was a professional accountant for 20 years. I had 3 degrees in accounting. I changed my career from accounting for business to accounting for life. It didn't come easy. It took a long time. I had to plan that my business was run by people when I'm not there, and how I groomed them and coached them and mentored them. And even when I started a new career, it took a long time to be able to make it sustainable. And eventually it worked out because I wanted it badly. I felt it was worth the price. And guess what? Even when I was struggling, I was much more happier, much more grounded, much more fulfilled because I was living my purpose.
So what if someone leaves their career, a really great job with the great pay, to be authentic, to pursue their passion, and it's not working out very well? They're not seeing the results. What happens then?
Well, I think, as the Sufis would say, Khalil Gibran would say that reason alone can be very boring. And passion alone can lead to its own destruction. But when you marry reason and passion, there's a dynamic balance whereby, whatever decisions you make, they are grounded not just in passion alone or not just in reason alone, but they are grounded in both reason and passion. And the chances when you do that, when you use that balanced approach, which is a very important message of our book, balanced approach, you find the chances, you minimize your risks. There are risks there in anything you do. By the way, you say, leave a great job. It depends how you define a great job. If you're not authentic, is it a great job? Maybe it's a great pay, but not a great job because you're not happy with what you're doing, and therefore it's fulfilling one part of your life, which is the external needs, but it's not fulfilling your internal parts. So there's a disalignment between your internal and your external, and that disconnect is manifested in many other ways, which makes your great job not so great.
Can you talk a little bit more about how to root your passion in reason you talked about?
Well, the idea is that yes, you have responsibilities and you cannot shirk your responsibilities because that also will make you not authentic. because you are, having a family, you're having your kids, you have your other things, and you're ignoring them. And deep down, you don't want to do that. That's not who you are. So the idea of feeding your passion with reason is to look at what you're doing and how it's going to meet your spiritual needs, your passion, your authenticity, and also your other needs that you have in terms of your responsibilities, not only to your family, but also to society, to the world at large. We all were gifted when we were born. The eyes that we have, the soul that we have, the air that we breathe is all given to us. The sun comes every day without question, gives us light. The trees bear fruit. The whole of nature is giving every single day, and we have to be part of that giving. And so our responsibilities extend much beyond our own immediate needs, and we are also endowed with the gift to achieve them. And therefore it is important for us to tap into this gift that we have, and also not forsake the responsibility that we have in our life.
What would you say to someone who says, I'm too old or too sick to pursue my passion? Is my birthday gift gone?
Your birthday gift is never gone. It's always there with you. If you look at my example, I changed my career at the age of 43. And nowadays 43 is young. In the olden days it was old, but still not very young to start a completely new career from scratch. And so it's never too late. I think nowadays with the lifespan that we have, that we're blessed with, and it's better to find your gift before you die than never to find it. And who knows, maybe in the little short time that you have, you could create some magic with the gift that you have, with all the experience that you have gained in your life.
In chapter 3, you talk about awareness. What do you mean by awareness?
So it basically starts with self-awareness. Are you aware of yourself? Most people have a tendency of judging other people and what other people are or are not, instead of focusing on really being able to know who you are yourself. As Aristotle would say that, knowing yourself is the highest wisdom. And when you know yourself, you're also able to know others much, much better.
Okay, and how does this help in business to be self-aware?
Well, through self-awareness, you are very clear about who you are and what's going on in your mind and what is really affecting your life and your business. And it helps you to attend to problems squarely and not touch upon superfluous problems. And self-awareness then extends to awareness of your team. What motivates your team, what frustrates your team, what are they doing, what they are not doing, so that you are able to understand the intricacies of what the dynamic of your team is to optimize their outcome and their performance, and also be a good role model and a good mentor and a good coach to be able to help them achieve great results, which indirectly help you as a leader. With your customers, if you are aware of what excites them, what makes them feel upset about your business, your products, and what is their pain, then that also helps you to sell better, look after their needs, and make them cheerleaders of your business.
And what's the process for someone to become self-aware?
I think it's about what Dr. Kavi would say, don't see, but observe. See, seeing is one thing, observation is something different. So when you observe, you're actually getting more deeper, much more reflective, and saying, why this? And what else could it be? And so going deeper to really get to the root of the problem or issue or understanding that gives you lasting impact.
So for those who've been successful without self-awareness, why start now?
Well, the thing is, if you're already successful, then the chances are you probably have some awareness without realizing. And if you get deeper into self-awareness and awareness of your teams and your customers and your products, it can make you even more successful, so why not?
Once you develop the self-awareness, what then?
Well, the idea is that once you have self-awareness and you understand who you are and understand what's going on around your business, you have to act upon it. Without action, awareness by itself, it's better than not being aware. But if you support it with action, there's much more impact and power.
So you're saying awareness includes acceptance, awareness of friends, family, customers, more than just yourself.
Yes, absolutely. And acceptance is a little bit different, but has a connection in terms of once you become self-aware, are you accepting who you are as a person? And that's the starting point, that you like yourself. That yes, there is room for improvement in what you need to do, but deep down you're a good person. And most people, deep down, we all have goodness within us, but sometimes it's been covered by many other things. And if you accept the people around you as your team, as your family, as whatnot, and use them to their optimum position, it will be very powerful. Now, sometimes you may have a team member who does not belong there, not a right fit, in which case you are better off parting, but it will also be good for the employee as well, because they don't belong here and they may do a much better job somewhere else. So it can be a mutually beneficial approach.
And how do you deal with being self-aware in a workplace where others are not as aware?
Well, I think the key is to start with yourself, because by worrying about what others are thinking or whether others are aware or not aware, you're getting into judgment mode, which takes you away from your self-awareness.
In chapter 12, you talk about fear and conquering your fear. Tell us more about that.
So I think there are certain situations where fear is appropriate. You are in front of a lion and you're going to be fearful. That's totally normal. But a lot of fear is also self-inflicted by you fabricating in your mind about things that makes you worry. And one of the biggest things that makes you fearful is your ego. When you're very self-centered, you worry about yourself, you become very conscious of who you are, and then you become fearful because you feel, if I don't achieve success, I will look bad. So it's all about I. But if you really have a goal larger than self, then you become fearless, because it's not about you anymore. It's about a cause much, much bigger than you.
Now, some would say there's genuine reasons to be fearful. The world is not a safe place.
Yeah, so again, using your intellect and asking yourself, what am I fearful for? What are the chances of this happening? There's some statistics say that there's more risk in driving a car than in flying an aeroplane. So if you're going to fear flying because you could die, then you could die even driving your car.
Now, in business, there's a lot to worry about in order to make the right choices. You're accountable to board of directors. You could lose the money for the company. You could lose your job. How do you address fear in the workplace or in business?
So what happens is, when you start letting fear overtake you, a lot of energy goes away in that mode, which takes away the energy from achieving results and focusing on what you need to do to get your numbers that you are responsible for. So the idea is that once you, most successful business people, you'll notice, have taken risks. No risk, no gain, right? So it's about taking calculated risks, taking risks that are, you can define them by what's the worst that can happen. If the worst happens, can I live with it? If I can, then I may not have to fear that much, because I know I've looked at all the angles and I minimized my risk, and the upside is much, much higher. And worst comes to worst, if I don't succeed in that particular opportunity I've taken, it's not the end of the world.
So how does someone go about addressing their fears?
I think the first is to really go deep and ask yourself, is the fear valid? I know sometimes I get an email from someone and I don't want to go there because I just have that feeling that it's going to be really nasty, right? And so I avoid it, but I worry about it all day anyways, and I haven't seen the email. But when I see the email, it's nothing. And you confront it, you address it, you respond to it, it's done. So sometimes fear is a fabrication, it's an illusion, it's created by your mind, but it's not real. So firstly is to differentiate between what is real and what's fabricated. Secondly is to confront the fear, and you'll find the more you confront the fear, the more fear disappears. The more you allow fear to come in and take a abode in your being, the more it becomes much more a problem. As Roosevelt, I think, once said that the biggest thing to fear is fear itself.
Can you talk a little bit about the link between fear and achieving goals?
So if you have goals but you're fearful of not achieving those goals, if you have goals and you're fearful that they may have some dire consequences, then the energy of your goal aspiration, of your goal achievement is going to be a problem. We talked earlier in my earlier chapters about coincidences. Can you imagine if you have a goal, you have an aspiration, you have a desire, but it's totally kind of covered by fear and doubt and uncertainty and lack of belief, then of course you're not going to invite the coincidences because you are already signaling that you don't believe in what your goals are.
What about the connection between fear and ego?
So I mentioned earlier about, ego is very self-centered, it's selfish, and when you become too much about you, you worry, you get fearful because you don't want to fail, you want to protect your name, and therefore you don't achieve great success. But once you focus on the object, the goal, and forget the subject, which is you, the ego, then magic happens. Think about Osho, the mystic, used to say that a mother would never give birth to a child if she feared the pain of childbirth. A bird would never fly in the skies if the bird feared the unbounded skies and miss out the beauty that is up to, you can see from above the skies, right?
Now, a lot of people have fear of failure, which stops them from doing things or taking risks. What would you say to those people?
I think we believe that really the fear is the fear of success, not the fear of failure. Some people can't handle success, and I guess as I mentioned earlier, if your fear is based on what's the worst that can happen, and if you can live with the worst, then it's worth a try. And what's the upside around it, right? And so the more you fear failure, what happens is the more you invite failure, because wherever attention goes, energy flows, and you attract that in your life.
In chapter 4, you talk about present moment awareness. Why is it important to have present moment awareness?
So if you are living in the past, you're living in the future, if you are worried about what happened to you 5 years ago or 5 hours ago, and worrying about what will happen next year, the chances are your energy is very scattered. And when the energy is scattered as a business executive, your attention to detail, your attention to what is the crux of the matter, all compromised because you're all over the place.
But in business, there's so many things to worry about. Projections, goals, the next big thing. Present moment awareness, how do you keep track of that in the midst of all of this?
Well, the beautiful meeting point is to have those goals, to have those clarity, to have those aspirations, to have those targets. But remember, all these goals and aspirations and targets are only achieved in present moment activities. So if you don't execute in the present moment by thinking about the past and future, the execution goes away because all you're doing is planning and planning and planning, but there's no action, and even there's action with a lot of distraction, then the action also is not as powerful.
What are the benefits to present moment awareness? For somebody who's practicing this, what do you get?
Well, first of all, you become very light because all you're worried about is what's in front of you. So there is no baggage. If I'm going from Vancouver to UK, to London, and I carry 40 suitcases, and I take my dog with me, and I take my furniture with me, and I take all the clothes I have with me, what's my trip going to be? I'm worried about this, I'm worried about that, I'm worried about everything else, and so my trip is going to be very, very stressful. But if I go with a small briefcase, or a small briefcase, so there is no burden I'm carrying with me, and so I'm light, I'm relaxed, I'm creative, I can think, I can network, and there's much more power around that approach.
How do you develop present moment awareness? For those who are living in the past or very much in the future, how can they switch to present moment awareness?
Well, you need to, for example, you may want to say every stroke of the hour, I'll catch myself to see if I'm present and I'm aware and I'm in the moment, right? So at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and see what's happening. And the more you catch yourself not being in the present moment, the more you realize what you need to do to become in the present moment. And you know every hour you'll be wanted, you'll be accountable to yourself to be in that moment. So that's one way of doing it. Secondly is at whatever situation, stop and ask yourself, am I present right now? And why not? What else am I thinking about? And how is this other thing that I'm thinking about helping me in what I'm doing now?
Now, does present moment awareness really reduce stress and anxiety? Because if you're not thinking about the future and what could happen and trying to prevent that from happening, how does it reduce stress and anxiety?
You know, the Sufis talk about that you can plan for 100 years, but you don't know what's going to happen the next second. So life is uncertain. We don't know what will happen. There's a nice saying, you don't know what will happen between the cup and the lip. You're having a cup of tea, and between that cup and your lip, there is so many things that can happen in your life. So the uncertainty is there. So when you're in the present moment, you're actually quite relaxed. You're actually savoring in the moment. You are doing carpe diem, and you are really making the most of what's in front of you. So whether you're with your spouse, your child, your partner, your colleague, your employee, your customer, you're really enjoying that interaction because you're there and really appreciating the glorious moment that you have with whoever you are engaging with in terms of business or social or whatever the case may be.
Now, can you solve problems when you're in present moment
Absolutely.
awareness?
Absolutely, because when you're in a present moment, what happens is you're connected to everything else around you, because all human beings are interconnected. Even people who have died, geniuses, we can connect to their intellectual capacities. So when you're in the present moment, you tap into all this. Not only that, but you actually tap into all your past experiences that you have had, which are wisdom that you've gathered, because you're in the present moment, because you're so clear, because there is no baggage, because there is no unnecessarily complexities in what you're doing at this moment.
So basically, you're saying that living in the present moment removes all the clutter from your mind.
That's what it is. It removes all the clutter from your mind. It makes you relax. It makes you free. It makes you not having unnecessary burden, carrying the burden of the past and future. And therefore, whoever is with you can feel a total undivided attention to what you're doing.